Okay, you are in the kitchen with Jelly, and tonight in the CUCKOO pot, the multi-cooker, going to be rice pudding with rum raisin. It is fantastic, and I've done it many times. I love it. This right here is raisins I kind of keep. Sometimes I do rum raisin. Honestly, the wife doesn't like the rum raisin, so I only make that when it's for me. But here's what I do. It's gold Bacardi and golden raisins. And that's what I use. That's what I like best. And I'll only put like a third of a, well, I'll put a third of a cup in there once they're cooked. Not now. I don't cook those. They only go in after the rice is cooked. It's pretty much the same as my other recipe. You may have seen it. Main thing we're doing different tonight is that CUCKOO. It is a rice cooking machine. It really has changed the way I love rice, and it's fantastic with it. And it does other things. This company was nice enough to send me one to try out. I love it. I've had it about a month and a half, and I've used it on 2 or 3. I've done a pot roast. I've done some ribs. I've done a couple of things in it. They're great. I mean, it cooks fantastic. It's different than an Instant Pot. I'm not going to lie. The way it comes up to pressure or the way that it times, but it does a fantastic job. It does something else that it releases on its own. It has a solenoid that releases that. You don't have to release it. So that being said, we're gonna get back to the recipe, but it's a good device, and I do appreciate the company sending it to me. I love it. But here we go. All right, where was I at? Let's see. We're going to do a third a cup of this after it's cooked. We're going to do I always kind of call that by the way it looks, but a 1/4 teaspoon, maybe 2/4 teaspoons of that. We're going to do 2 teaspoons of vanilla. This is while it's cooking. This I tell you what, this is what I'm going to do when we put it in that pot, which will be 1 cup of arborio rice, and that's about what that is. I'm feeling that's 1 cup of turbinado sugar. That is going to be a 1.5 cups of heavy whipping cream. I'm going to put into here, and then I'll top that off with a 1.5 cups of water, so it'll be 3 cups of liquid total. I don't know if I said it or not, but a 1/4 teaspoon of lemon juice. And we're going to show it, so it's no big deal. I mean, you pretty much see it. You know, everything's here that's going in, and I'm fixing to make that happen. And I'm going to show you what this thing does to rice. Now, again, rice pudding's always different than just rice. This thing makes sticky rice and stuff. It does a lot of things, but the rice is unbelievable. But again, everything cooks rice pudding different. And you'll see when I open it, it's always kind of a little runny. Sometimes, but my point is, with all rice pudding, once it's cooked, and once you stir it up just a little bit, maybe, you know, let it sit for a minute, it's always, this recipe works fantastic. It's spot on every time, and it sits in the refrigerator, keeps well, and everything. And you'll love the rum raisins, especially those golden ones. But anyhow, I'm going to get this started, and I will get a little bit of this going, and we'll come right back. You know, I always say that some of these measurements aren't exact and shouldn't be followed to a T. Well, I had 16 ounces of heavy whipping cream, so we're going to use that, and then, which is 2 cups, and then all we're going to use is 1 cup of water. So, just to show you how it works, I mean, it doesn't matter that much, but that makes 3 cups of liquid. Here's our 1 cup, and I was pretty accurate on the how much was in there. It's exactly 1 cup. So all we got to do is I'm going to go ahead and put the lemon juice in, which is that's right there. Is all I'm putting. The lemon juice, I just put it in there. I like the flavor of it, but with the rum, I don't want to go too heavy on it. And then we're going to do 2 teaspoons or so of vanilla, and I like vanilla, so I mean, if I went a little heavy on that, it's not going to bother me. But I mean, I'm going to leave it at that right there, because I know that works. I've done this enough to know, and that does. It works perfect. So now, all we got to do is open the the CUCKOO. Add the cup of rice, obviously. Add the milk or the heavy cream, the water, the vanilla, and the lemon juice. And then I'm going to add this sugar, and then I'm going to stir it real well because I want that to, you know, melt a little bit. But I promise you, when this comes up to temperature, that sugar is going to melt. But I still want to mix it real well. I'd like for it to melt. So, and one other thing, I don't always, sometimes I do, but I've kind of changed. Most of the time I wash my rice before I do rice pudding. But here recently, with rice pudding, I just don't. I think it makes it, I don't know, it gives it a, I've noticed a difference. I'll put it like that. You know, I may go back to washing it, but I do it different a lot of times. And it seemed to me the last time it gave it some more body. I don't know. You know, so the starches, I guess, that stay there. A lot of people don't like to do rice without washing it, but it's not something that I'm having a crisis over. I just don't. I just don't. It's not, I know it's probably the best to wash it, but I don't let that stuff get in my head too hard. You know what I mean? All right. So on the CUCKOO, it's different. Now you know I love my Instant Pot, and I do, and this does the same thing as an Instant Pot. Let me raise my camera just a little bit. Whoops, wrong way. It's a multi-cooker, so it will do that too. But it's a rice cooking machine, but it also does very well multi-cooking. It has plenty of settings. The thing about it is it times a little different, so it takes some learning using it because you don't get pressure times, you get cook times. And I'm learning it, and it's coming around to me. I honestly like some of the features of it. I really do, over the Instant Pot. But anyhow, now we got to get in here and do the automatic sterilization. It talks, by the way, so it tells you things, and what we're looking for is rice. And let her finish talking. But I do use it, the preset, which is 8 minutes. I use that on all rice I've cooked in here. I'm going to talk about some sticky rice that's out of this world. This is the rice cooking machine, as I said. But now it's not like the Instant Pot. You can't just let it go. You've got to turn it on. You know, the Instant Pot would have timed down by now and already started. Now I'm not trying to compare it to an Instant Pot. It does, and it is a multi-cooker, but it's different. I mean, but it does is really similar to the same thing. All right, well, back to what we're doing. You have to lock this, and then you have to press cook, which is right here. And then what it does is it starts cooking. I mean, it's something, you know, it's different. It starts heating. It cooks. It comes up with a different number here. It doesn't do the Instant Pot feature. That's what you have to learn about it if you want one. But my main point is it is a rice cooking machine, and it did great on some ribs and a roast. It did as well as the Instant Pot. I did have to figure out some cook times because they're different. But off of that, all we're going to do right now is cook some rice, and I'll show you how good this RUM rice raisin, this RUM raisin rice pudding is. It's fantastic. I love it. My wife likes it without the rum. She just does. I'm not knocking that. And it's good too without the rum. But this has been here about 2 days. I let these soak a little while, but I'm going to cut this short and just make this a video. I'm telling you, the CUCKOO is a great device, a rice cooking machine, and that will do other things. But anyhow, we'll be back in a few minutes when that cooks. Yeah, I wanted to touch on this just a minute. This device, a CUCKOO, does different. With every setting you set it on, it has a different function. If you saw a while ago, I don't know, like I said, the screen's hard to see. It said 8 minutes. Well, it went to 24 when it finally came up and quit doing the circles on front of the screen, which I assume it goes to a certain pressure or steam maybe for rice. It cooks different items with different procedures. It's considerably different than any electric pressure cooker even the Instant Pot than you've used. But that doesn't mean it's wrong, though. I mean, it does some things too. It like this. It'll control this in a minute, or in a little while. When it's cooking, you'll see it release steam. Well, that tells me it's regulating that steam pressure. You know, where a regular electric pressure cooker has to do it by changing the heat. Well, this can do it by releasing pressure. So it's got some fantastic features. It's just a little different than a normal electric pressure cooker. You gotta learn it a little bit. And like I said, every setting, and it describes it in the book to an extent. And but the things I've cooked in, it's been fantastic. Again, just different though. You know, it's not the normal, but for rice, man, it is, it's out of this world. What I really want to say is, and I miss a company out of South Korea. They know what they're doing with rice. They've been making these for years, and I really appreciate them sending it to me. I loved reviewing it. I've loved using it. But anyhow, I'm going to get off that. We're going to go back to rice pudding, what we started this over.
Has been completed.
Okay, as I said, it talks, and it's a great device. It counts down from the 24 minutes, I guess you'd say, and then at 8 it started steaming. Again, it's a lot different than an electric pressure cooker you've been using. But man, there's nothing wrong with it. Now, one thing I will say is the reason I have it sitting out here is because when you open the lid, it won't clear this. So that's the only thing that is any different. I mean, the lid doesn't come off, and you have to raise it. So with that being said, we're going to open this up. And I want to show you what it looks like now. It's always usually runny, so once you stir it up, though, I'm telling you, I've never had a problem with it. Once you stir it up, if anything else, you can let it, cook down. But I rarely ever do that. I just stir it up, let it sit a minute. I eat some of it, and when I put it in the refrigerator, I never have any, liquid standing on it. But here we go. Oh, I forgot. I got to unlock it. So all that does is open this to where it releases all this pressure, if there is any, and it still hit the cabinet just a little bit, but still, you can see it is like I said, it's still it has a lot of liquid, but all you do is stir it up just like this. I'm telling you, this is the perfect amount. I've tried many, and if nothing else, if you think it's too much, you just let it sit, and it will reduce. It'll reduce down to the perfect, but I'm telling you, you don't even have to do that. Once you get this right here done, and usually by the time I've got my stuff mixed in and stirred up, it's ready very soon to eat a bowl. And then if not, you can let it reduce. Now that is 1/3 of a cup of the RUM raisins. It's a 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, which you can add more of that later, if you don't have enough. Sometimes I do add more cinnamon. But anyhow, we're going to put it in there, and we're going to mix it up. And then, like I said, we might let it sit just a minute with the lid open, let it breathe down a little bit, reduce just a slight amount, and it'll be perfect. It always is. I'm telling you, it always spooks me. Every time I open this, I always think it's too runny. I always think, oh gosh, but it's not, man. And the raisins, of course, you could add more raisins. That's just that a lot of times, I'd rather, the raisins at 1/3 of a cup seem to be perfect. You can add them later and all that stuff. But anyhow, I don't know why I'm going into all that. Y'all know that. So we're going to let that sit just a minute. I'm going to get a bowl out, and we're going to look at it in just a minute. And it'll be fantastic. I guarantee it. Be right back. Okay, this is probably 5 minutes, which is what I leave it anyhow, to kind of let the raisins soften up, or whatever you want to say, in the heat. And you can see it is like an oatmeal texture now, and it doesn't do anything but get better. You can when you pull it out of the refrigerator tomorrow, it'll be perfect. It's perfect now. But one other thing I was going to say is that I did dip probably 1.5 tablespoons or whatever that is right there out of that jar of rum and put in here. And you can taste the rum. It's not overwhelming, but you can taste it. It's there enough to where it's about perfect. I'm telling you, it's not strong. It doesn't have a heavy rum flavor, just a light rum flavor. This is really close to what I think everybody would like. It really is. It's not that strong of rum. That's what I'm getting at. But anyhow, we're gonna get a bowl out of here. I'm going to show you what it looks like in here. And I'm going to eat this, so I assure you, it's good. I've done it several times, and it is always good. You can, as you know, you can put all kinds of things in there, or stuff on here, or in there, whatever you want, but that is it's fantastic. I mean, it's cooked perfect. It's the right texture and all. It's fantastic. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, you can make adjustments to it if you need, but I personally don't think it needs anything. This is exactly how I like it. And like I said, when you open the lid every time, I always think, it looks. But when I first started doing it, I always just try and cut down on stuff, and I found out it works way better with that 3 cups than 1 cup. But this device that the company CUCKOO sent me to review, I love it. It's a great device. It's different. I'm going to say it 10 times, and it is. But it does, every feature does a little bit different. You got a steam. Like I said, the rice does a steam. It has a steam mode. So it does a pressure cook, and a cook, I guess, and then it steams. The rice is, sticky rice I've never been able to make. Man, it is all that. Now, I'm not saying all it does is rice. It just does that damn good. But it also does the other things I've cooked. It took me a little bit of fidgeting with it or learning with it, but it does the same thing, I love don't get me wrong, I love my Instant Pot. I do. But there's nothing wrong with this right here. And if you're looking for my opinion, especially if you're looking for a high-end rice cooker, this will do that. And cook rice like nobody's business. But anyhow, In the Kitchen with Jelly. Hey, like and subscribe if you want to. No big deal if you don't. You can find me at www.jelly007.com. But anyhow, y'all have a good night and come back to see me. As always, I got a last minute addition. Here's about what you get out of that. I mean, I ate that bowl you saw, so I mean, you get a bowl and this. But the other thing I want to say is you can do this you can do this same recipe in an Instant Pot or an electric pressure cooker or a rice cooker. For years I did it in a rice cooker before I had any electric pressure cookers. And it works fine. I've never tried it on the stove. I don't even know how honestly, I don't even know if I can tell you how to do it on the stove. But an electric pressure cooker or a rice cooker, that same recipe is thumbs up every time. There's nothing wrong with it. And like I said, you don't even have to put the rum in it. Just do what the rum cooks away. I don't know if you need to be told, you know that. But anyhow, what I'm getting at is cook the recipe. It's fantastic. Again, In the Kitchen with Jelly. And one more time, y'all have a good night. Come back to see me.